Washington number 1. Washington Post. Number three. Ah, yes.
Good morning. I got to have some volume or this is a drill. Good morning. As the last of our crew members are making their way to their seat, just a couple of quick housekeeping items. I would ask you respectfully, if you have a cell phone with you, at this time, would you turn it off? Thank you. Secondly, my left, I need that aisle cleared so that the color guard will be able to pass through. Again, if you're to my left, we need you to clear that aisle. So again, welcome, good morning. My name is Bruce Bramlett, and I am the Executive Director of the Battleship Texas Foundation. On behalf of the Foundation and our partner, the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department, the very first thing I want to say to our returning crew members is welcome home. We are absolutely thrilled and honored to have this amazing group of 32 veterans who have traveled from all over the country representing 15 states. I would also like to take this opportunity to welcome the more than 200 family members who have come to join them today and to welcome our other special guests. We have planned a special day of reflection and gratitude as we celebrate the centennial of the commissioning of the Battleship Texas exactly 100 years ago today. At this time, I would like to ask the Navy and Marine Color Guard of the Joint Forces Center at Ellington Field to present the colors, and we will join together in singing the national anthem. And I would ask you, as you are able, to please stand. Thank you. You may be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, Lieutenant Kevin Williams will lead us in our prayer.
Let us pray. With thousands and 10,000s of our fellow men compelled to hearken to the clarions of war and to wastrels' garments rolled in blood, we are permitted to enjoy all the felicities of domestic life. So we are invited this morning to remember our fellow sailors who served aboard Battleship Texas, which helped to protect our allies throughout World War II. And as we commemorate the 100th anniversary, we are united in acknowledgments of gratitude to Him who governs among the nation's blessings, and with sincere hearts implore His graciousness upon this day. Amen.
At this time, I would like to introduce the chairman of the Battleship Texas Foundation, Mr. Anthony Gregory. Mr. Gregory's family has been intrinsically involved in the care and management of the Texas for almost 7 decades. His grandfather worked alongside Admiral Chester Nimitz and the Texas Governor Buford Jester to help the state of Texas acquire the ship and bring it to rest here at the San Jacinto Historic Site in 1948. Tony's mother, Carolyn Gregory continued the family legacy and worked tirelessly for more than 20 years, fundraising and recruiting partners for the battleship to aid in restoration efforts. Tony began working with the foundation in 2005 and continues that effort of maintenance and restoration of the ship. Tony's passion is educating the public, particularly young generations, about the ship's amazing story. And while it's not in my notes, the other thing I love about Tony Gregory is a little over 2 years ago he had the good sense to hire me. Mr. Gregory.
You can see why Bruce never met a microphone he didn't like. Welcome back. We are thrilled you're here. I just want to personally thank each one of you and your families for making the effort to be here. Your example of service and commitment to the country is something that will live on in this ship and be communicated to generations to come. As Bruce said, my family's been involved in this ship a long time. When I was a kid, my brother and I would play on these anti-aircraft guns quite a bit. Then off the port side here, there used to be this place called the San Jacinto Inn. And after we played here, we'd go eat over there. The San Jacinto Inn was one of these places where you just went in and sat down and they started bringing food. So my brother and I thought that was pretty cool. But the coolest part was the honey and biscuits. But my parents wouldn't let us eat the honey and biscuits till the end of the day. So I hope this is a honey and biscuits day for you all and for everyone here. 100 years ago today, the Texas was formally commissioned at the Norfolk Naval Yard. That's March 12, 1914. Her first captain, Albert W. Grant, whose picture is in your program, gave a short speech which read, quote, "I desire simply to say to the crew that every man is expected to give to the Texas the spirit of devotion to duty which is necessary to make this ship a success." And now we want to play for you a video that's been done just for this event. And so do we have the ability to start the video?
During Okinawa, as ships would pass us, we could hear them holler, "Come on, Texas."
We were all a bunch of kids.
We were servicing this ship, but it was saving.
The men who served on the Battleship Texas weren't all born in our state, but they knew the meaning of Texas pride. They understood the value of loyalty, hard work, and doing what's right. Fighting for what you believe in, but also taking the time to have a little fun. Barely a month after the Titanic sank on its fateful voyage, the Battleship Texas was launched in 1912 and commissioned by the U.S. Navy in 1914. The USS Texas was the second New York-class battleship outfitted with steel armor and an impressive armament, including 14-inch guns. The Texas was a game-changer. Those 14-inch guns could shoot half-ton projectiles up to 12 miles. She was the most lethal weapon in the world. In World War I, she escorted convoy missions and served as part of the 6th Battle Squadron in the Orkney Islands and Scotland. From 1919 to 1924, the Texas served as part of the Pacific Fleet, and she was the first U.S. battleship to launch an aircraft.
December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy.
During World War II, the Texas provided critical support during some of the biggest battles.
When I spoke with you about the fall of Rome, I knew at that moment that troops of the United States and our allies were crossing the Channel in another and greater operation.
On D-Day, the Texas provided firepower for the soldiers fighting on the beaches of Normandy.
We started bombarding there at Omaha Beach and Pontotoc. A little later, they brought up some of the wounded Rangers aboard our ship. Then we went up and down the coast bombarding. They brought some German prisoners on about that same time.
Days later at Cherbourg, the Texas engaged in a gun duel with German shore batteries. A shell hit the bridge, resulting in the Texas's only combat fatality.
One hit, and it went right up and took the whole bottom of the bridge out. Well, Christensen was sitting there, and it killed him right out. But the other guys in there, they had legs and arms, everything blown off.
Later in the war, the Texas went to the Pacific, where she provided support for the landing at Iwo Jima.
Of course, there was only one pair of binoculars for 15 men there, and everyone wanted to see the action. So in all fairness, you gave the other guy the pair of glasses.
In April of 1945, the Texas participated in Operation Iceberg at Okinawa, bombarding the coast for 6 weeks.
We were 51 days and nights on battle stations. We'd get a little slack early in the morning.
You guys would go down and take a shower about every third day, but they'd bring us up food right up to the guns.
The Allied armed forces have been ordered to suspend offensive action.
After the war, the Texas helped transport soldiers home as part of Operation Magic Carpet.
On the way back to the U.S. from Hawaii, the chow line was open 24 hours. The captain said he may not be able to provide every man a bed, but he could provide every man a meal. The returning soldiers and Marines could eat whenever they wanted to, as much as they wanted to.
After 34 years of service and 728,000 miles, the USS Texas was decommissioned in 1948. She found a new home in San Jacinto State Park, becoming the first permanent battleship museum. Now the Texas hosts nearly 100,000 visitors every year, including 1,000 Boy Scouts and youth groups who take part in the overnight programs.
A lot of really cool stuff happened here. My favorite thing was to get inside the big 14-inch guns.
Extensive renovations in 1988 helped to fix corrosion, but even today there's no fighting the constant exposure to water. The Texas is the last remaining dreadnought. We have to save it, because once it's gone forever.
Can you hear me now? Part of my duties is to introduce the dignitaries, so here's our main dignitary right now, Lieutenant Governor Dewhurst. Good timing. So, in addition to Lieutenant Governor Dewhurst, we have other many distinguished groups of dignitaries whose purpose will be to honor that spirit of devotion to duty that Captain Grant spoke about. So, in addition to Governor Dewhurst, men, if you would raise your hand as I say your name. Carter Smith, Executive Director of Texas Parks and Wildlife Department. Dan Allen Hughes, Chairman of the Texas Parks and Wildlife Commission. Andy Smith, Ship Manager of the Battleship Texas. Bruce Bramlett, who you've already met, Executive Director of the Battleship Texas Foundation. Rear Admiral and Battleship Texas Foundation Board Member Weldon Koenig. Ron Service from the Office of Harris County Judge Ed Emmett. Louis Rigby, Mayor of the City of LaPorte. And Kevin Williams, Navy Chaplain. I'd also like to recognize, we have other TPWD commissioners. We have Commissioner Robert De Hoyos. Would you stand, please? Thank you. And Commissioner Margaret Martin, are you here? Okay, thank you. Thank you, commissioners, for attending. And now I'd like to introduce our opening speaker, Carter Smith. Carter serves as the Executive Director of the Texas Parks and Wildlife Foundation. He's been in that position since 2008. Carter developed his passion for wildlife and the great outdoors while spending time on his family's farm and ranchland interests. He has a wildlife management degree from Texas Tech University and a master's degree in conservation biology from Yale University. As a biologist, he has worked on a variety of research projects ranging from studying moose in Saskatchewan to mule deer and pronghorn antelope in far west Texas and waterfowl in Texas and Mexico. In addition, he's a quick learner. He learns about 100-year-old battleships, and he loves the stories of the men who served on this ship. Carter's very active in private land stewardship, children and nature initiatives, acquisition of new park land, invasive species issues, and expanded outreach to the state's urban population. Carter recently discovered a new type of wildlife when a few months ago he and his wife welcomed a new baby boy to their family. I've worked with Carter for a number of years now on Battleship Texas issues. He's a good leader. He's a good listener. He's a leader who requires excellence from his team, and he's a gracious person. So come talk to us, Carter.
Tony, thank you for that very kind and generous introduction. I'll tell you, with that new 5-month-old, sometimes I feel like I need a battleship with all of you to keep him in line. Thankfully, I have my wife. On behalf of all of us at Texas Parks and Wildlife Department, it's an extraordinary honor, an immense privilege to be here with all of you today as we celebrate this proud centennial, this ship, fittingly called Texas. And I think what undoubtedly makes this so special, so meaningful, so memorable, is the presence of all of you, the men that served so gallantly, so valiantly on this ship, because the history is yours. You lived it. You made it. We now have the privilege of helping to steward it. And we also have the privilege of helping to share it. And there's a great story to tell, as Chairman Gregory said, the last of the great dreadnoughts, a ship that was built to reflect the industrial and military might of our country, a ship built to withstand the ravages of time at sea and at war, and withstood it she has proudly, sailing from Veracruz to the North Sea, across the Atlantic Pacific. She fought gallantly there in World Wars I and II at Normandy, Okinawa, and Iwo Jima. She made our country proud, very, very proud. As we all know, Texans don't like to play second fiddle to anything. And so with the ship named Texas, we're proud of the fact that she's the first one to have anti-aircraft guns, the first one to launch a plane, first one to house a permanent Marine platoon, and the first one to be declared not only a national historical landmark, but a national engineering one to boot. She more than earned her stripes. And when she was retired by the Navy in 1948 and given to the state whose name she proudly bore, it's fitting that this most sacred of Texas ships was birthed adjacent to the most sacred of Texas soil. Today, on our watch for all of you, the ship that sailed countless sorties and convoys, the ship that carried sailors and Marines, presidents and dignitaries, it now bears the weight of tens of thousands of visitors who come from all over our great state, all over this nation, all over this extraordinary world to come here and learn about your history and about this ship, a ship that embodies our history, inspires our imagination, enriches the culture of our great state, and which propels us to be proud stewards of the miles that you walk and the ships in which you sail. And so today, as we sit aside and atop this extraordinary ship next to most sacred of Texas soils, under the shadow of this monument, on behalf of all of us at Texas Parks and Wildlife Department, God bless the Texas, and God bless all of you. Thank you for coming today.
Carter, thank you very much. In putting together this celebration, we've been touched and overwhelmed by the number of private organizations who have reached out to us wanting to have a part in honoring the Texas and her returning crew members. Some proclamations that we would like to share with you. The first one is the Commanding Officer Hurdle on the current USS Texas SSN 75. He has sent a letter in his absence, and I would ask Admiral Weldon Koenig of our board to present this letter at this time. Admiral?
Thank you, Bruce. I'll try to keep this paper from flying over the side. Submariners never had this much wind that I can remember. And I asked the chaplain if he couldn't make it calm down a little, and he said he'd try. Anyway, it's a great honor to be able to read a letter from the current commanding officer of USS Texas. Not a battleship, a submarine. The submarine force, history and tradition have a special significance, more so than probably any other part of the Navy. Even though our ships today are replete with electronics and the current Texas is powered by a nuclear reactor, we are awash with reminders of those who have gone before us, who blazed the trail of freedom through the air on both on and under the sea. Walking on board today's Texas, there is absolutely no doubt in your mind as to what ship you're on. The ship's crest has 4 stars, one each for the ships that had bared that name, Texas. From the sail, they fly 3 flags. the national ensign, the state flag, and come and take it flag. And in the crew's mess, in addition to an 8-foot set of Texas Longhorns and a show saddle, you'll find dedications to both Navy heritage and Texas state heritage. In the chief's quarters, you'll find a frame of the chief petty officers who served on Battleship Texas during the Spanish-American War. In the wardroom, you will find an original framed photograph of Battleship Texas, donated by our sponsor, Mrs. Laura Bush. In our control room, state flags adorn every panel, and we proudly display a hat star from one of the original members of the Republic of Texas Marine Corps, Thomas Harper, from 1837. My crew is perpetually reminded of the state they represent, the rich history Texas has in contributing to our national defense, and those who have gone before us. As we celebrate the 100th anniversary of the battleship to bear the name Texas, there are some notable similarities and distinct differences between service on Battleship Texas, BB35, and submarine USS Texas, SSN 775. These two ships served in different eras, but their paths are strikingly similar. Both ships were authorized in time of peace, but commissioned in the time of war. Both ships were built in Newport News, Virginia, with a planned service life of more than 30 years. Both ships sailed thousands of miles in both the Atlantic and Pacific theaters. Both ships were trailblazers in modern warfare, one who pioneered advances in naval aviation and anti-aircraft weaponry, and one who pioneered employing new technologies like photonics and acoustics. Both were capital ships of their Navy. The thunderous guns of one ship bombarded Normandy and Iwo Jima, making the enemy tremble with fear. The stealth and silent thunder of the other ship made it twice before getting out of line. Both ship sailors were and are to date volunteer patriots defending freedom on the high seas, allowing life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Both ships also hunted down those who threatened it. One ship was decommissioned at a time of peace. We pray the same fate for the other. Congratulations to the Battleship Texas on your 100th anniversary of commissioning. It is my privilege to carry on the legacy of the ship which so distinguished herself during the World Wars. With such a rich history and name, it is no wonder that everyone knows you don't mess with Texas. Signed, A.C. Hurdle, Commanding Officer, USS Texas, SSN 775. Thank you.
Thank you, Admiral. I'd like to ask Dan Allen Hughes, Jr., Chairman of the Texas Parks and Wildlife Commissioners, to make a presentation on behalf of the state of Texas.
Thank you, Bruce. I'm honored to be here this morning. I'm going to read a letter from Texas Governor Rick Perry. Greetings. As Governor of Texas, I'm honored to welcome all of those in attendance to the final crew member reunion and Centennial Commission of the Battleship Texas. From her commission in 1914 to the end of her service in 1948, Texas and her crews proudly represented our state and nation during some of 20th century's greatest conflicts, World War I and II. To the crew members here today, I thank you for your service. Your time aboard the Texas was undoubtedly during one of her most important ventures. From the North African campaign, to the landing at the beaches of Normandy, to the Battle of Iwo Jima and Okinawa, bravery and sacrifice helped secure America's victory in World War II. As you gather one last time, I hope you will treasure the relationships you forged at sea. First Lady Anita Perry joins me in wishing you to this memorial reunion. Sincerely, Rick Perry, Governor of the State of Texas.
Thank you, Mr. Hughes. At this time, I'd like to introduce Ron Service, who's the Intergovernmental Liaison for the Office of Harris County Judge Ed Emmett, who will make a presentation on behalf of Harris County.
Thank you very much for your invitation to Harris County Judge Ed Emmett. He sincerely appreciates the opportunity to be here with you on this great